So welcome to Module 1, and in this module we're going to talk about what exactly is client development and why does it make so much sense. So as we go through, I want you to think about your client relationships and think about how these principles apply to you. So if you're in charge of an agency, there's just three things that you need. One is to acquire business, that's new business. One is to keep business, so keep the existing clients you've already got. And the third thing you really want is to grow the existing business. So if you put a hat on of someone who's in charge of the agency, those fundamentally are the three things, because the more clients you have, the more revenue you have. And clients are revenue for the agency, and without revenue you can't employ people and you can't grow your agency. So if you're thinking like an agency leader, think about those three things. Now let's talk about development of client relationship. What actually does that mean? Well, if you looked at a dictionary definition, it is client development is the retention, expansion and growth of revenues derived from existing clients. So what about existing clients? Let's talk about terminology. Now, if you were to meet someone at some kind of social event, or maybe it's a business related event, when you meet someone, you think, well, perhaps they could become a client. Now, if you start talking to them, you could then see if they are a potential client of yours. So when you're talking to them, these people are known as unqualified cold leads, or better known as suspects. They're suspects because you suspect that they could be a client, but you haven't qualified them. Then if you got talking to them and they say, actually, my role is perhaps a senior marketing director in a company that perhaps is in the same industry as your agency, then they become a potential client. They could be a client, and so they become a prospect. So you've qualified them to make sure that they have the kind of role that you're looking for, that your client typically has. They're working in an industry where your clients typically work, and therefore they could become a client. Now then, if you were to introduce this person to your agency products and services, and they end up working with you, then they become a client. Now, anything beyond that client relationship then is all about client development. So how do you keep that client from going anywhere else? How do you keep that client coming back to give you more work, more projects, more campaigns, more strategies, and work with you for the long term? So long-term clients, then if they're happy with what you're doing, then they can introduce you to other clients, other potential clients or other suspects. So they will then refer you to more clients. What we're not talking about in this course is pitching for new business and acquiring new clients. We're not talking about networking specifically, or cold calling, which means you're picking up the phone, calling people you don't really know. We're not talking about direct marketing, where you go out and send direct mail, or you contact them directly without knowing them. And we're not talking about inbound marketing. Inbound marketing is where whatever you do, people come to you. So you may be blogging, you might be doing social media, you might be authoring articles or generating leads or sales funnels. So we're not talking all about all of that. We're talking about the clients that you currently work with and how you can develop that relationship further to ensure that that client keeps coming back and giving you business. Because really, there are 4 key strategies for client development. One is selling more of the same service to your existing client. So maybe you've got a client and maybe they do a project with you, like perhaps you manage their website. And every time that client wants an update to the website, they come back to you. So it's not that you offer them other services, it's just you provide a service to update their website and they keep coming back for more. So that's one type of strategy. The second strategy for client development is selling different services you have to your existing client. So an example of this is where your client just has you as their website manager, but then they say, well, actually, we'd like a social media strategy as well. So you think, well, that's a capability of our agency and we can provide that service for them too. So you've effectively developed that relationship, developed that piece of business. So not only are you going to do the website for them, you're going to do the social media strategy. So it's selling different services you have to your existing client. Now, the third strategy for client development is creating or contracting new services to sell to your existing client. So this is where your client comes to you and says, actually, we need lots of blog articles written for us because we don't have the time, we don't have the resources in-house. So you go back to your agency and say, well, we don't actually have someone that can write massive amounts of blog articles, but we do have some freelance writers that we pull in on an ad hoc basis who could potentially do that service. So you're contracting services to sell to your existing client, but they're not held within the agency. The fourth strategy for client development is referrals. Now, referrals are probably the strongest way and easiest way you can develop an existing client relationship, because what happens is the client's so happy with what you do that they will willingly and really be pleased to introduce you to other people they know who could also benefit from your services. So that's 4 strategies for client development. Now I want you to take action. I want you to just take a moment to think about a service your agency doesn't currently provide, but you think could provide. So think about that example where I gave you that you're managing a client website and then the client comes to you and says they need some blog articles written. So what services do you think your clients could benefit from, but you don't currently have them in-house currently? So think about your clients and who they are, and think of a service your agency doesn't currently provide, but you think they could provide, and just write it down.